Despite the cold, several thousand people have gathered on the main square in Tokmok, northern Kyrgyzstan. They've come to see Sadir Japarov, favorite to win Sunday's presidential election.
I want you, my dear compatriots, to be happy. And we can no longer allow the corrupt cabal of oligarchs to decide our fate. That's why I'm proposing to strengthen the presidency.
Japarov hopes that voters will back a constitutional reform that's being put to a referendum on election day. A reform that would turn Kyrgyzstan back into a presidential republic. Last October, a popular uprising in Kyrgyzstan's capital turned into a coup d'etat. After parliamentary elections that had been rigged in favor of the then-president's allies, protesters stormed the parliament. They also looted the offices of President Soronbay, who would soon resign. The next morning, it was Sadir Japarov who addressed the crowd. Japarov's supporters had freed him from prison overnight. The former businessman and politician was serving an 11-year sentence for the attempted kidnapping of a regional governor in 2013. In the wake of the October uprising, he got MPs to vote him in as interim prime minister. He also became interim president when Jeenbekov quit. There are 17 candidates in Sunday's presidential election, but in the street, Japarov's is the only visible campaign.
Пожалуйста, возьмите качественную информацию. Это Клара Соронкулова. Вы уже голосуете, да, вообще? Или 18 есть у вас?
KLARA SORONKOULOVA was a constitutional court judge, ousted in 2015 for opposing the then president. She's now running for president herself, but her campaign is much more low-key.
Though the constitution doesn't allow him to, Sadir Japarov has been touring the regions and was campaigning and making promises even while he was interim president. Moreover, he put his people in all the key positions of power.
ATYR ABDRAHMATOVA agrees. Deputy Director of the Electoral Commission until October last year, she resigned after the uprising.
I realized that the members of the Electoral Commission had made a deal with politicians from the transitional government. The politicians offered them protection and promised that they would keep their jobs.
ABDRAHMATOVA sees the cronyism of Kyrgyz officials and civil servants, which dates from the fall of the USSR, as the root of all the country's problems.
This system endures because it's important for insiders to keep their positions so as to keep ruling and exerting influence. That allows them to look after their personal interests, no matter who's in charge.
Lately, a few dozen protesters have been gathering every Sunday in central Bishkek. They object to Japarov's constitutional referendum. Mayrim and her two sisters were also active in the October protests, but didn't want this to be the result.
And we were going to the square and just trying to say, look, it's not okay, where young people are not okay with you buying votes. And now he's coming to the power using administrative resources. His friends are in the main positions in the country. So this presidential election is not fair.
But not everyone in Kyrgyzstan shares that view. With the backing of state TV, Japarov is very popular in semi-urban and rural areas where 70% of the population lives.
Someone who has known no problems cannot be a good president. But Sadir Japarov has overcome every problem. He lost both his father and his son while he was in prison.
After Japarov's rally in Tokmok, BOUROULTCHA KADYROVA, who is retired, heads home. She lives with her parents-in-law and her grandchildren in this small two-room house, 7 people in total. Between them, their pensions amount to only around €80 a month, barely enough to make ends meet.
Sometimes my husband goes out to find day work. If he finds some, he earns a bit of money. If not, he comes home empty-handed. We have great hopes for Japarov. I think he'll help those in need like us.
The Kyrgyz people's high post-revolutionary hopes combine with a high propensity to overthrow governments that disappoint them, as Japarov's opponents are keen to remind him.